Hey, Patrick here, and I just finished doing my presentation, my speaking gig, and so on. And I am now back to my hotel room. And you may hear some noise coming in, perhaps because my kid is actually watching TV there, and I'm in the hotel room, and I'm actually at the what is this, the kitchen table or something like that, right? So I thought of doing a short training on the concept of how you create content, whether you're doing an online training or whether you are on a live stage. And it is not really about speaking training, but how do you construct your message so that you can deliver in a way that your audience, online or offline, could grasp the entire concept. So the way how you do it is that you have to break your content into several segments. And I mean, if you want to deliver your content in the so-called proper flow. Now, by the way, the recording of this training is a bit sort of weird because I'm just putting my iPhone standing up and recording here. So there are four parts. The first part is what I call the opening. And the opening is about how you build connections with your audience, again, online or offline. So if you are on stage, and you know, in my marketing trainings, my marketing insights, I always falls back to case studies. So when I do my opening, I will say good morning and the usual stuff. But at the same time, I also touch base on a familiar ground, like the topic of the reason why they're here and what is the common cause, right? What is the common goal? Then the next part is where we talk about introduction. Now, the opening and the introduction are two different things. So in my definition, the opening is where you build connections with your audience. Whereas the introduction is where you introduce what you want to share and what is the issues all about. You need to start addressing that, because when you deliver the content is addressing a particular issue. Otherwise, you wouldn't be presenting your training or your content, right? So what is the so-called issue? And that is where your introduction comes in. Now, after you have covered your introduction, then you go for the content. The content is where you basically share your best strategies, your best tips, and so on. Whether they are very elaborated or short, doesn't matter. The way how you do it well is to chunk it down. So you chunk it down to a few steps, or say 5 tips, a few strategies, and so on. So you have the number so that your audience can follow accordingly, and also know your speed. And of course, whether it is very elaborated or it's very condensed, it all depends on how much time you have. Like in this case, this marketing insight may last about 5-6 minutes. So I'm chunking it down to just 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in a sense. The first one is on the opening, the second one is on the introduction, the third one is on the content, and then the fourth one is none other than closing. Closing is more like a summary of what it is all about. So you wrap it up, and you wrap it up by also showing your appreciation for their time to listen to your training or your speech on stage and so on. Now, that covers step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But if you're going to close on a so-called a high energy, right? What you can do is you can throw in what we call a bonus tip. Like based on what you've covered in your content session, right? Could you have like an extra tip, an extra step, an extra strategy, and so on for you to share? So you bring that up at the closing. So you add another step, which goes to step 5, where you share that, and then you wrap it up. Now that's how I deliver my training, my content, whether it's on stage like a live stage like what I've just gone through today, or whether you're actually doing that online. So that's a wrap for that. And if you feel that this content is workable for you and you like this marketing insight, it would be awesome that you share this or leave a comment, give me a feedback, and so on. With that said, this is Patrick Chan here, and I look forward to hear from you soon. Thank you.